All right, Robert.
Yes, sir.
Robert, where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
I'm from Orange County. I grew up in Seal Beach. Went to Los Alamitos High School.
Tell me about your family growing up.
Well, I'm adopted, so my birth mom was a heroin addict and a prostitute. My dad was her pimp. Me and three of my siblings got adopted by a professional baseball player and a woman whose construction company built most of Seal Beach. I grew up just an average white boy at that point in time. I mean, just, Seal Beach is Seal Beach. Just a yuppie white boy. Yeah, I had a pretty good childhood. I definitely didn't doubt whether or not they loved me. I was afforded all the niceties. I got to do all the baseball and sports and go to church and vacations and everything else. It was the nice 2.5 family, only a lot larger than that.
Sounds great. And how far did you go in school?
I actually have my GED, my high school equivalency. I didn't quite graduate. I was supposed to graduate and just decided to work full-time at Disneyland instead, so it didn't work out that way.
Were you getting in trouble at that point?
At that point in time, I'd touched trouble with the law every once in a while. I think I'd had a joyriding. Maybe I'd ran away from home a couple times. I'd been to what cost a youth shelter in Los Alamitos. But nothing big, nothing where I'd actually been to juvenile hall or, too much contact with the police or anything like that. It was mostly just...
Why were you running away from home if you had a good childhood?
Well, I ran away from home not because to be the black sheep. I wanted to be the black sheep. I wanted them to pull the attention off of my brothers and sisters because we had been adopted. And so I wanted the attention on me and off of them. I didn't want them to get in trouble for anything. So I always did something.
And your siblings were from the same family?
3 of my siblings were from the same family.
Same parents?
Yeah. Well, same mom at least.
Same mom. And then what happened after school?
Well, so after school, I did what most kids at 18 did, and I left for the military. I did 4 years in the Air Force, and I was honorably discharged, at which point in time I came home and I started working for an electrical wholesale company. I got married, I had the kids, I did everything I was supposed to do. Everything was pretty all right. One day on May 25th of 2012, my wife came home and told me that we were getting a divorce. That she could no longer trust me, that I wasn't emotionally available for her, and at that point in time, I started using heroin, kind of recreationally, I guess, at first. I've been an alcoholic since I was 9 years old, and going to AA meetings and identifying as an alcoholic since I was 9. I still am to this day an alcoholic. My alcohol of choice right now happens to be fentanyl or heroin.
So alcohol started early.
Alcohol started at 9. I started stealing. My parents didn't drink, but they had parties at the house, so there was always alcohol in the house. I started, replacing the vodka with water and stealing the beers that I could during the parties and whatnot. And I guess I drank for that effect. I drank for that oblivion. I didn't want to feel. I had a pretty messed up childhood for the first 5 years of my life. I really didn't want to pay any attention.
For the first 5 years, you were with
my birth family. Yeah.
Got it.
Growing up we were hotel kids of Orange County, as we put it. And it was, I changed.
Do you have memories of those days?
I do, actually. I have a lot of memories of those days. Some of the most vivid ones were when I was a little bit older and my mom would disappear for weeks at a time, doing whatever it was she did. But it was me at the age of like 4 or 5 with 3 younger siblings. And the reason we got caught was because I got caught stealing from a taco truck trying to feed infants M&Ms. And so somebody called, the police on us, the child support services on us, and they came and took us away, and that's how we ended up getting adopted. At one of the court cases, my birth mom walked in and said that she didn't want anything to do with us. She wanted to get high, and that the judge could do whatever they wanted to do with us, just leave her alone at that point in time. And that was kind of the end of that relationship. So
after your marriage fell apart?
I started doing heroin, then she took the kids to South Carolina. I had a couple years of clarity somewhere around 2014, 2015. And then the woman who I was with at that point in time left me, and I went straight back to heroin. And that back in 2015 was my first experience with Skid Row. Heroin was a little bit harder to get in certain places like Orange County and whatnot, and somebody had told me about Skid Row, so I jumped on a bus, not knowing what to expect other than it was Skid Row. And I came down here and I started looking for heroin. And it was easy to find and it was easy to get, and I could make money down here doing whatever it is I wanted to do, predominantly either stealing or something to do with electronics. And I would get the money I needed for heroin. I'd get the heroin, and I wouldn't have to go very far to do any of it. So
And where do you stay now?
I stay off of like Crocker and 3rd right now.
In a tent?
I still camp out in a tent. I don't actually have a tent right now. I sold it so I could get drugs. It tends to be the common denominator in my life. But yeah, I stay in a little area that I made right there. You call it a hut.
And your siblings were from the same family? Same parents?
Well, there's 3 other siblings from the same parents. It's two of my youngest sisters and then my brother. My youngest sister is a problem child like me. We don't have much contact with her. And unfortunately, my mom just recently passed and we didn't even see my sister at the funeral or the memorial service. So she's doing what she's doing. She's got 2 kids. She's struggled with addiction and other problems in her life. And then my other 2 siblings, the older of the 2 girls, and then my brother, they're all younger than me, but then my brother, they're doing really good. My sister is the head of behavioral something or others when it comes to working with kids that are just, slow learning in schools in Orange County. And my brother has a construction company out in Idaho, so they're doing all right. They're the stars of the family right now.
So what do you attribute your current situation to? Is it genetic?
You know what?
Did you inherit it from your parents?
No, this is something I chose to do. I mean, I know that I could put the work in. I've put the work in to not be here. I've put the work in to not live on Skid Row. I've not lived on Skid Row my entire life. I didn't grow up around this stuff. I didn't grow up around gangs or drugs or anything else. I didn't see any of that stuff until, we knew about it because of our childhood. But it wasn't actively part of our life growing up. It wasn't the way things worked. And we were taught the right ways. I mean, I really was. So now I make a decision that I want to put a chemical in my body in order not to feel a certain way. And I don't know what that way is. Maybe I'll get there someday, maybe I won't, who knows.
How old are you?
I'm 41 years old.
And you have kids?
I have 6 kids in 3 states with 3 women. I have 5 girls and 1 boy. And my oldest actually just started school at the Citadel. So I'm really proud of my kids. My kids are doing really good in spite of who I am.
You talk to them?
Not very often, not as often as I'd like, but I do get to speak with them every once in a while, yeah.
So going through everything you've gone through, going from a troubled family to a great family.
My own family.
What have you learned?
I've learned that no matter what's going on in my life, I can still be me, if you really want to know the truth. What I've found most important is that I don't have to give up who I am in order to continue using this chemical. I can still be the person that I was raised to be. I'm still a good person. I still have a good heart. I still care for people. I still reach out for people. I still take care of people. I just happen to have a monkey on my back,
Do you feel like your life has a purpose?
I don't think my life has ever, I don't think I've ever felt that my life has ever had purpose. I think I've searched for purpose in my life. And because of who I am and how I see myself and what I believe I'm capable of, I don't think I've ever gotten there.
And what about getting clean one day? Do you see that in your future?
I hope so. I hope so.
Have you ever been clean?
I have. I had 9 years sober at one point in time.
9 years?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was sober from everything, from June.
Alcohol or heroin?
Everything. When I say sober, I mean sober. I didn't take a pill that wasn't prescribed for me. I didn't drink. I didn't use anything. No chemicals.
No methadone or Suboxone?
No Suboxone. No anything. And I did that for 9 years up until 2012-ish.
And what got you to relapse?
My wife leaving. Women tend to be my problem. Women and kids are my problem. I care too much, and then I don't show up. I don't produce.
What do you think could have been different about your childhood that may have changed that?
That's a good question. I ask myself that all the time. I tell people I have a God problem because I have a problem with some things God's doing in my life. But then I come to certain realities, like there is a God and I'm not him, that it's probably going to work out better doing it his way anyways, and I can't stop talking about him no matter what I do. So I don't think there's any one moment in time that I can really pinpoint that would change anything, because I'm not quite sure that there's anything after any point in time in my life where I would want to sacrifice having that. If I go back to being with my wife and my kids, then there's 2 other kids that I don't have. And if at any point in time I decide not to do something, then there's something that doesn't happen that's a positive. And whether it be a positive for me or my kids or my family, whatever it might be, it's not something I'm willing to sacrifice. So I can't pinpoint when might have happened.
And this lifestyle that has no responsibility at all, what do you make of that? Do you enjoy it?
You know, I don't like not having any responsibility. I continue to search for ways to...
Responsibility tends to give life meaning.
Right. The responsibilities, you know, it's simple as I can unlock a phone, which is a talent not a lot of people have, you know? And so I market that, you know, and I'm on OfferUp and I'm on Craigslist and I'm trying to normalize something and then I don't want to be normal. You know, I don't want to go to work every day. I don't want to wake up in the same bed with the same person, with the same kids. I don't necessarily want that, but at the same time, I'd rather have that than what I currently have.
What do you think most people who don't do drugs don't understand about addiction?
That to some extent, it's not necessarily a choice. Like my body I have to have heroin or fentanyl in my body. I have to have some sort of opioid in my system or it makes me sick.
I hear this a lot. It may have been a choice that very first time that you tried it.
Right. It was the euphoria at first.
But then after that,
it became a necessity. Yeah.
It becomes life or death.
And at some point in time, it does become life or death. So.
What's your biggest regret?
My kids. My kids. My kids deserve to have a father. I miss my kids.
What emotions do you deal with now?
Anger. I'm angry at myself. I'm angry at God. Sadness. You know, I miss my kids. I don't know. I didn't expect to be a father. I didn't expect to have kids. I really didn't because of the type of person I was. And now to have such amazing kids and not participate in their life on a regular basis is killing me.
That's a weight that's hard to bear, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's not fun. But I still make my choices that I make, you know? I just hope at some point in time I decide to do something different and it's not too late.
All right, Robert. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No problem, of course.